Welcome back, everybody, to your source for fantasy hockey news and degenerate gambling breakdowns. It's the Tuesday edition of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, and we have a couple of spicy conversations to get into, some viewer questions, burning fantasy topics that we need to get to ahead of these fantasy playoffs, and everything in between. Let's get right to it, baby, and let's get this money.
Your Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You heard the music, and you know what time it is. It's time for the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast with Steele and Flip, a jam-packed Tuesday edition, one in which we have to talk about maybe one of the most tantalizing hockey conversations that you can have, McDavid versus Gretzky. Who is the better player? We're also going to talk about McDavid's fantasy ceiling. And in between, people, we're going to kick off the show. There have been a number of viewer questions on YouTube about some top fantasy burning questions. What do you do with players injured? What do you do with your fantasy lineup ahead of the playoffs? We're going to break that down off the top of the show. And there is a jam-packed, juicy 12-game Tuesday betting board steal that you and I just quickly discussed off air. A number of tantalizing games to sink our teeth into. So we want to spend maybe a little bit more time than usual on bets and picks because we're running out of time to make this playoff money. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. We see and appreciate you, and we wouldn't be here without all the support of our listeners. So that's why, Steele, I think we should get to some of these questions on our YouTube channel. I got the page open, but we want to support our listeners and we want to talk about some of these situations. And I think I got to throw it over to you with probably the biggest and spiciest question from Corey. Do I drop Kaprizov? My playoffs start today. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough question in a superstar player that's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And again, we're in the time right now where either you're in a fantasy league where the playoffs start this week, or you've got one extra week before the playoffs start. So it's happening soon, or it's happening now for a lot of leagues out there. And it's a good question. Do you drop Kirill Kaprizov if you're in the playoffs right now? You know, the easy question is, or the easy answer is no. It's Kirill Kaprizov. He's a top 10 player in the league right now, but it gets a little bit more complicated to that. If you're in a fantasy keeper league, obviously you keep him. You stash him on the IR, you keep him on the bench, you put him wherever you can, but you keep him on the fantasy team. If you're not in a keeper fantasy league and you're going to lose him for next year's fantasy draft anyway, or maybe draft him for next year, I think it might be realistic and probably the smart way to go in actually dropping Kirill Kaprizov at this moment, because we already know he's not going to be back until early April. He's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks, 4 weeks maximum. And who knows if you're even going to get to the championship round in your fantasy league. Hopefully you do, but you're not going to get there if you're holding a bench spot or a spot on your roster for a guy who's injured right now. So easy answer is obviously if you're in a fantasy keeper league, you keep him, you stash him, you do whatever you can. But he's injured for the next 3 to 4 weeks. I think you might as well drop him, pick up a couple of those players that Flip and I have listed for the waiver wire targets this upcoming week as well. That's a better use of your rosters, your roster positions right there. You can get a guy that's going to play 4 games this next week and might help you get to the next round of the playoffs, or you keep Kaprizov on your bench and it might hurt you in the long run.
Exactly that, my friend. And given how close this Minnesota Wild team is in striking distance to the Dallas Stars, and we know they're going to probably make a little bit of noise in the playoffs, they have a good enough team to do so. Kaprizov isn't going to be rushed at any aspect. If it means he's fully healthy for game 1 come playoffs, he doesn't suit up for a single minute of regular season action, maybe the last game to give him a little bit of run out steal, if you know what I'm saying. But that just means that you're probably going to be dealing with a guy, if you do end up keeping him, that you're frustrated with because this Minnesota Wild club is not going to be rushing him back. I needed to start there with that steal because I think that was my take on this, and I think that's where I agree with you. You got to get some value while you can here, people. It might not be pretty. but you got to do it. So, Corey, that's what I think. I'm with Steele. I say you drop him. Obviously, you're not dropping him in Keeper or Dynasties. But let's go to two other burning questions that we got from our YouTube watchers, listeners, supporters of the show, Steele. Let's just leave it at that. Question from Theo Pairing. Shout out to Theo. Wondering if I gamble on Vrana this week. Steele and I came out and said, take a look at some Dallas Stars option, and all of the stars are taken in this guy's league. So, Vrana putting up a couple points, the Blues scoring. I say, why not? He didn't get back to us on the format of the league, but Steele, the St. Louis Blues scoring goals. If you're getting crafty and you are looking to the waiver wire, why not Vrana, a guy we know can be very streaky?
Yeah, and a guy that you and I talked a lot about a few months ago. Obviously, he was put into the NHL assistance program. He was dealing with something personal. He had to go through that. He's dealt with so many injuries throughout his career, but this guy is a sharpshooter. When he is healthy and he's playing, he's one of the best on his team. He is one of the best on his team. Really liked him with the Detroit Red Wings when he was playing last year, a couple of years ago. Now, obviously, he was put on waiver. He makes it through there. He gets picked up by the St. Louis Blues. He's played 4 games so far. He's got 2 goals. I think he's playing pretty good on that second line with Braden Shen and Kasperi Kapanen, another guy who was picked up off waivers from the St. Louis Blues. So that second line of Jakub Vrana, Pavel Buchnevich, and Kasperi Kapanen. I know Vrana has played a little bit with Braden Shen as well. So I think you might as well give it a shot. He's on the top power play unit. This is a new look St. Louis Blues team. They've changed over the last 3 weeks. They've got Sammy Blais back. They've got Jakub Vrana. They've got a lot of young guys too. Sammy Blais, Kasperi Kapanen, Jakub Vrana, Nathan Walker, Alexei Toropchenko as well on the top line. You've got your young guys in Kyrou and Robert Thomas leading the way. So it's definitely a new look St. Louis Blues team. Everyone out there knows that we're big fans of Jakub Vrana when he is healthy and actually in the lineup. He's got 2 goals in 4 games. I definitely think he's one of those guys that you can pick up and fill in a roster spot right now.
And what I think I like the most of him, it looks like he's got confidence back to his game. And why not with the St. Louis Blues? He's going to get an opportunity. It might as well be this group. How about 14 shots, Steele, over his first 4 games?
Yeah, those peripheral stats too.
Yeah, and that just shows confidence for me. So to answer, was it Theo's question? And thank you all for always dropping the comments and the questions. Continue to do so on the YouTube page. And make sure you smash that subscribe button on YouTube. I would answer it with a resounding yes. Take a look at Vrana, depending on your categories and depending on your need. But I think it's worth a look. And very quickly, Steele, because I think the answer here you and I both agree on. And you mentioned the Monday waiver wire episode. Check out all the breakdown for the waiver wire targets this week on yesterday's show. But with Rodriguez, Joshua Shields hits us with the question, should I go with Evan Rodriguez or Comfer this week? He's in a head-to-head regular categories league. I mentioned Evan Rodriguez's opportunity on the top line with Nathan McKinnon, and I think it's worth going with Evan Rodriguez right now. JT Compher has had a good year. You and I both game, but I think he has gone pointless now in 5 or 6 straight. Evan Rodriguez has put up 3 or 4 points in the last 4 or 5, and he's getting a lot of shots in minutes. So my answer is, if it's Compher or Rodriguez, it's got to be Rodriguez given his run out on that top line right now.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'm leaning as well, just because he's got that edge. He's playing on the top line with Nathan McKinnon. And Mikko Rantanen. So he's got that little bit of an edge, but both Evan Rodriguez and JT Compher are on the top power play unit. I believe they both get penalty kill time as well. Or JT Compher gets penalty kill time on the second unit, so he gets a little bit more special teams. But nonetheless, Rodriguez is on the top line. They're both on the first power play unit, and Rodriguez is the hotter guy right now. He's getting points with Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. So get the guy who's heating up right now, Evan Rodriguez. But again, I really like JT Compher. They put a ton of confidence in him, and they rely on him to be that second line center, and he's done a fantastic job this season.
Just a very responsible player as well. Steele plays a nice two-way game, and I just can't help but feel I got my fingerprint on the button, or my thumb on the button, to pull some bets off on this Colorado team. I think they're going to make some noise again in the playoffs, and I like Alexander Georgiev now with a really confident season behind him. Anyway, we're going to talk Stanley Cup odds, another show. We're going to do another betting show. We're going to get to this conversation about McDavid and Wayne Gretzky. My goodness, Steele, you and I have never done this, and I'm interested to hear. You're a little bit younger than me. I'm here to old school, new school takes. I don't know what we're going to get at here, but we're also going to get to big time bets for sure at the end of the episode. But where you need to be placing those bets, you know it's at FanDuel Sportsbook. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the midway point of the NBA season. It's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet for up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back in your account if your first bet doesn't hit. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. And they let you bet on everything from the money line to point scores to threes drained. Steele and I like betting on the tip. We like betting on the first to 50, the first to 10. Who hits the most threes? Who hits the most twos? Plus, FanDuel lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. Don't miss a chance for your no-sweat first bet for up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That is FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on your favorite podcast platform, including YouTube. So make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Flip and I appreciate all the love, all the support that our listeners show us every single day. Now, to get into a juicy conversation, Wayne Gretzky versus Connor McDavid. To me, I'm looking at this as God versus Jesus right now. McJesus. This is an absolutely incredible comparison when you look at the stats they put in the first 8 seasons of their career, because that's what I'm going based off. McDavid's only played 8 seasons so far in the NHL. And look, man, this is going to be a very interesting conversation. Like you said, it's kind of a newer generation and older generation mixing up. It's very hard trying to compare players in sports from different eras, different generations. You know,
it is
the amount of times that I've listened to debates about LeBron and Michael Jordan, or Tom Brady or Montana, Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. It's so hard to try to compare these guys, but that's what we do. That's what we do in sports. We love to compare. We love to debate, and we love to pick and choose who is the GOAT. Now, it might be a little bit of a different or a hard conversation to actually pinpoint who's the GOAT, because McDavid's only 8 seasons into his career, and Gretzky's career has been, long done for a while now, but it's the conversation we're going to have. I'll throw it over to you now, Flip. I want you to start us off. I want you to kind of direct and lead us where you want to go, but
I got you.
I'm very intrigued by this conversation we're about to have.
Me too. And I want to wrap it up with just quickly discussing bringing it back to the fantasy angle, because, mentioning it to Wayne Gretzky, there's not a ton of fantasy takeaway. And that's what we're here to do every single episode, as much as we possibly can, always. That's why I'm seriously saying we are here for you. So let us know what you want to hear. But still, there is a takeaway once we finish this conversation. And can Connor McDavid's fantasy value go up? We're going to get there. And I want to quickly talk about the Hart Trophy, because some of these Hart Trophy odds are absolutely hilarious. So we're going to have not just a straight up Gretzky McDavid conversation, but my preamble is over. And I've done a little bit of digging into the numbers. Connor McDavid has played 554 regular season NHL games. I'm not going to get in the conversation about postseason, because we know the Edmonton Oilers of today and the Edmonton Oilers of past, we know who was getting it done in the playoffs, and McDavid still produced. But we're going to leave that alone. Through 553 games for Wayne Gretzky, he had, so at the same points of their NHL careers, what I'm trying to say, a little bit of context. 475 goals for Wayne Gretzky, 757 assists for 1,232 points. Connor McDavid, through the same amount of games, 294 goals, 530 assists for 824 points. So at first glance, you would say, oh my goodness, Flip and Steele, old heads are going to go, Wayne Gretzky has 500 more points through this point of his career. This isn't even a conversation, and I'm going to disagree, Steele. And I don't know if you thought I was going to take this angle, because to me, I was lucky enough to watch Wayne Gretzky play in a couple of games. I was lucky enough to watch Mario Lemieux play twice live. I've now had the benefit of watching Connor McDavid play twice live as well, live in person. I've never seen somebody skate like Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
And when you talk about stats, that's one thing. But when you talk about who is the best to ever play the game, the way Connor McDavid is dusting aside opponents right now with his speed and skill, I'm going Connor McDavid. And I know the accolades are not going to compare. But right now, Steele, what McDavid is doing, and we're not done on this season, because I don't want to throw the book out on this Oilers team yet, because if Stuart Skinner can figure it out, they're going to make some noise in the playoffs. But I'm going to stop and put it over to you. Connor McDavid is the best player to ever play the game of hockey. Is he the most decorated? Will he touch these numbers? Probably not. But he's the best player that I've ever seen play the game.
That's exactly where I'm at right now. Look, I did the exact same thing. I didn't go exactly games played, because I just went based off of the first 8 seasons.
There you go.
So the numbers for me are similar stats, but just a little bit different for Wayne Gretzky. So I have 632 games played in the first 8 seasons compared to the 554. And over the 8 seasons, obviously there's still like 15 games left for McDavid, so the 8th season isn't over yet.
Yeah.
But Gretzky had 1,520 points in 8 seasons, and McDavid has 824. So almost double the amount of points in the same amount of seasons. Obviously played 80 more games because McDavid was injured in his rookie season as well. But nonetheless, even with those stats, and like you said, I don't think Connor McDavid will ever even get close to the same amount of hardware or accolades
different
that Gretzky
leagues
has. Different
leagues.
NHLs. 4 Stanley Cup champion, 9-time Hart Trophy winner, 5-time Lady Byng winner, 10-time Art Ross winner, 5-time Ted Lindsay winner, 15-time All-Star. He's never going to get to those accolades in his life. No. At the same time, I will say he will reach these points in history. He will be top 5 in goals at the end of his career. I truly believe at the end of McDavid's career, he will be top 5 in goals in NHL history. He will be top 3 in assists in NHL history. And he will have the second most points in NHL history. I think truly that he will be the second player ever to reach over 2,000 points by the end of his career. And he's going to do all of that with 300 to 500 less games played. Like, it's absolutely incredible to think at that point in time that he's going to have more points than some of these guys like Yager and Messier and Howe. Like, and he's going to be playing 300 to 500 less games than them at that point, because he's already at, what did we say? He's already at 824 points in 554 games.
Yep.
Like, if let's just say he doubles that in the next 554, he's going to play 1,100 games in the NHL, and he's going to have 1,700 points almost. Like, that's incredible to think about. So for me, I think the one thing, again, at the end of his career, when everything is all said and done, for me, in order to say that he is the best hockey player to ever play the game, he needs at least 1 Stanley Cup. You need at least 1 championship. Okay, so
two.
You're gonna say 2? I think you.
I'm
need
with
at
you
least
though.
1.
That's what I was gonna wrap up my take with. So thank you. He's gotta have those rings, baby.
Yeah, you need at least 1 Stanley Cup championship under your belt in order to even be in that conversation. So we're talking about it. I think he is the best hockey that we're ever going to see play this game, but he needs that 1 Stanley Cup ring under his belt to solidify. And even if he doesn't reach those numbers, like I don't think he ever will reach those numbers to beat Gretzky on those records, but nonetheless, he's the best player that we've ever seen play the hockey game. The way he skates, the way he's so quick with his movement, the puck protection, he can flick his wrist and it's going top corner all the time. So best player to ever play the game in the NHL without a doubt, period.
So without a doubt, period might be a little spicy. I'm here for it though. But what I'm a little bit concerned about, kind of some of the things that you said about goal total, I don't know if it gets there. Everything else checks out for me. Points and everything. I'd be a little wary of the goal total because this is the first time we're seeing pump up over 50. But the two things I really wanted to say, Steele, is number one, to back up what you're saying, he has just started to seemingly get comfortable now at this really super elite level. Now, 127 points and getting even better by game. We're just starting to see the best from him. So that's number one. And one of the other comparisons that I wanted to throw Gretzky's way, and you said it, these are two different NHLs. So trying to compare the two are somewhat, it's a very subjective thing because you and I didn't watch enough of those hockey games back in the day. But I'll say this, 91 game-winning goals for Wayne Gretzky over his career. What do you want to guess the number is for Mr. McDavid already, Steele?
Game-winning goals?
Yeah, just throw out a number for fun.
Game-winning goals for Connor McDavid in his career, I'm going to have to say
you better
40?
Not be looking at something.
No. 40?
Already at 62. So if you want to talk about impact, so if you want to talk about impact and getting it done as well, because a lot of people, I could already hear it in the headphones. Where's McDavid's clutch ability? Where's, Wayne Gretzky was Mr. Clutch. Connor McDavid has already been Mr. Clutch in his career, and he's been playing with a lot worse goaltending and a lot worse teams around him in Edmonton. So I'd also throw that out there before the hate comes. We're going to talk very quickly about Hart Trophy odds and one of the guys that I think is a dark horse for it and bets right after the break. Steele, take us away.
Bets right after the break. What is there? 12 games on the board for Tuesday night. Super exciting matchups there. We will get there, but we, of course, want to talk some updated odds for the Hart Trophy. But real quick, this episode is also brought to you by Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 because I wanted more energy throughout the day, and I hated taking pills and vitamins. It's literally the worst thing to do. And I also wanted to see what all the hype was about with AG1. So what exactly is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, and probiotics to help you start the day off right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, focus, and aging, and so much more. It's absolutely fantastic in the morning. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a very, very complicated supplement routine to recover from it. And it cost him over $100 a day. That's just way too expensive. It's out of the budget for Flip and I right now. And it's out of the budget for you. AG1 is perfectly priced. And right now it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on your favorite podcast platform, including YouTube. So hit the sub button, hit the follow button, show some love out there. Flip and I appreciate all the love, all the support that our listeners show us every single day. So thank you so much for all of that. Flip, hit us with these updated Hart Trophy odds right now before we jump over to big time bets.
Well, it's just a bit hilarious, Steele, because at minus 4,000 on FanDuel, obviously the odds brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Come on,
yes,
now
sir.
We're coming team odds here. Minus 4,000. If there is anyone out there on the face of the planet betting at minus 4,000 on Connor McDavid right now, even though he is the clear winner, we've seen situations with the NHL awards, Steele, and I'm not saying this is one of them, where curveballs have come out of left field. And this is where I'm saying for a couple of $5 or $10 bets, I have two players that I think are worth a shot. Of course, Connor McDavid at minus 4,000. It's crazy. But how about this? And I'll be backed up if you want to take a look at a clip. And I saw this the other day on Overdrive on TSN. Martin Biron, a former player, goaltender in the league a long time. If you don't trust me, trust a 15-year veteran. David Pastrnak at plus 3,100 has done so much for the Boston Bruins this season. And Linus Ullmark isn't even up here at plus 4,800. I'm not telling you to go out there and spend your hard-earned money on something that probably isn't going to win because of how Connor McDavid has done this year. This is his Hart trophy to lose. But for $5 or $10, if you've won a bet or two, Linus Ullmark at plus 4,800. He's the only goaltender out there at a goals against under 2 and a save percentage over 930. That's number one. And David Pastrnak this season, Steele, 7 game-winning goals, 46 goals and 42 assists for 88 points, and he's creeping. I just needed to say, this is McDavid's trophy to lose, but there's games left to be played. You never know. Pastrnak goes on a heater. Linus Ullmark scores a few more goals. You never know. I just needed to bring up the fact, Steele, that those odds are interesting to look at from how favorited McDavid is to the good odds for some of those dark horses. Hit me with your take on that.
Those are very interesting. I love the fact that you're looking at a different angle here, different players. Look, I feel confident. I feel so confident Connor McDavid's going to win. I might even tell everyone to go bet the house, bet the mortgage on this guy. There's no way he loses. So, you know what? Take a mortgage out, put it on Connor McDavid, put $5 on David Pastrnak, see what happens. But I don't know, man.
Hold on, $10 on McDavid pays 25 cents. Coming in hot, baby.
That's beautiful. That's still positive in the cash there, right?
$1,000 on McDavid for a cool payout of $25. Steele. There you go, baby.
My goodness. Hey, I just don't think there's any way. The guy's already at 127 points in 67 games.
It's his incredible trophy. It's his trophy. I just needed to bring out, me with the odds. Get a little. I know. If you've won a bunch of bets, there's some hockey left to be played. For some reason, McDavid goes cold, and Pastrnak or Rantanen or Robertson or Ullmark, even Tage Thompson at plus 6,000, does something really crazy. You're going to be thanking yourself for sprinkling a 5 or a 10. That's all I wanted to say. It's super degenerate, but I got to come on here and bring those angles, baby, especially when we're already talking about McDavid.
I will say, though, out of I think if you're gonna put $5 or $10 on Pastrnak for anyone, it should be the Rocket Richard Trophy, because there you go. He might be able to actually catch him on. I don't know how far back is he right now. He's like 11 or 12 goals back of Connor McDavid right now.
McDavid has 56.
McDavid has 55 or 56 goals right now. You know what? I'll go search
44.
But I think he's plus 4,000. He's about the same odds on the Hart Trophy as he is on the Rocket Richard
You're
Trophy.
right, though. So that is much better odds, and he is currently 9 goals back. Steele. McDavid has 55
goals back.
Yeah. So there you go. I like that you're still checking the numbers to make sure I was right.
Checking the numbers. I know you're not too well with the numbers. Look. 9 goals back, and he's plus 4,000. I know it's a long shot, but that one might be the one to sprinkle $5 or $10.
Great point.
If you want some extra loot there, maybe Pastrnak catches him up. Let's get over to big time bets, though. Lots and lots of juicy games on for Tuesday night, Flip. I'll throw it over to you because I'm really interested in what you have to say. I've been taking your lead for the last couple of days with these picks. I know you've been pretty hot recently, so take it away, my friend.
Appreciate that, my friend. And I think there's something about, I get a glimmer in my eye when there's a good opportunity to bet on number 87, Mr. Sidney Crosby.
Yep.
Another 80-point season already in the books, and he might better his 84-point pace. And again, speaking of aging like a fine wine, this guy is doing exactly that. And Sidney Crosby is now carrying his team and putting his team on his back. He has 7 points in his last 4 games, Steele. This is what this man does, and that includes 2 game-winning goals. I love talking about those game winners, and he's up to 8. He's got more game-winning goals than David Pastrnak this season. And I just wanted to show Sid a little bit of love because I know with them hosting this Montreal Canadiens team, this is a situation that he is not going to miss on capitalizing for a big win and a big performance. In 45 career games against the Montreal Canadiens, about 58 points for Sidney Crosby, including 37 assists. Give me the Sidney Crosby. Anytime assist, he's going to be distributing. He's going to be in the mix, and he's going to be a big reason why the Pittsburgh Penguins either are in or are not. Whether he plays good or not, he's going to be that reason, Steele. Give me Sidney Crosby. Anytime assist, that's my first pick of the night.
Look, every time you go with Sidney Crosby, I'm going with that too, and especially against the Montreal Canadiens. He's got 7 points. It's panned out. He's got 7 points in his last 4 games, like you said. So I'm also going to throw that into my parlay. It's not part of my 3 picks right there, but I love the anytime assist from Sidney Crosby, the captain of the Penguins. My first pick of the night, or actually my first 2 picks kind of go hand in hand with each other a little bit. First pick of the night, I'm taking the Hurricanes on the money line against the Winnipeg Jets. This could be an under situation as well. But nonetheless, Hurricanes are at home. They're playing better than the Jets. The Jets they barely squeaked out 2 wins against the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning in back-to-back days. They won 5-4 in overtime and then 3-2 in a low-scoring game. Vasilevsky, again, just not playing great right now either for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Nonetheless, Hurricanes are the better team. I don't like what I've seen from the Jets besides Connor Hellebuck, realistically. Hurricanes on the money line is my first pick. In my second pick, and this is why it goes hand in hand with each other, is I'm going to take the Predators on the money line against the Detroit Red Wings. This is a big game for the Nashville Predators at home against a team that has struggled the last 10 games as well. They're 3-6-1 in their last 10 games. The Predators are 5 points back of a wild card position right now. Winnipeg Jets is the team that they're kind of battling with because the Avalanche and the Predators have games in hand on the Winnipeg Jets, and they're both, or the Avalanche are 1 point back, the Predators are 5 points back, but they both got games in hand. So I predict that the Jets are going to lose to the Hurricanes. The Predators are going to gain traction and gain extra 2 points. They're going to take the big win against the Detroit Red Wings. So Hurricanes money line, Predators money line, and my lock of the night. I know you said not to go with these easy looking picks right now, but I have to. Bruins on the puck line against the Chicago Blackhawks. That's my lock of the night.
2 things just to disagree with you, just to be that guy. Number 1, the Detroit Red Wings just gave the Boston Bruins fits over the last 2 games, including keeping Saturday close, and they beat them around on Sunday. So I'll throw that out there. And number 2, what was your first pick? Sorry.
First pick, Hurricanes money line against the Winnipeg Jets.
Both teams have struggled. So you alluded to the under. Carolina, I believe, has lost 2 or 3 in a row, and they haven't scored many goals. So I'm leaning to the under in that game as well, Steele. That was one of the picks that just didn't make my card. But I think you're playing a little bit with fire, but let's see what happens. I don't hate the picks. I don't exactly love them, but I think you're not going to like one of mine, so maybe it's even. Vegas rolls into Philly. Vegas has been playing really good hockey, and I will eat my hat and my crow when I've said I wasn't buying into this Vegas team, and they've played really well, and they continue to hold down the top spot in that Central Division. Now that I'm done talking about it, this feels like an under to me, Steele. It feels like an under to me, and when I look at Aiden Hill's numbers over the last 4 games, 940 save percentage, 940 save percentage, 923 save percentage, and a 940 save percentage. He's also faced 50 shots, 34 shots, 33 shots. He's playing really good hockey. John Quick is playing really good hockey. Whatever goalie is in there, I'm feeling an under because also when you look at the Philadelphia side of things, and this is why don't let me go too crazy here. Under has gone under the total in 5 of Philly's last 6 games. They're playing some pretty good defensive brand of hockey. Carter Hart has been a lot better this season. I'm going to stop talking. Vegas at Philly. I'm going to tease it up to 6.5. It's at 6. Give me the under 6.5. And I couldn't come on this show today, Steele, and come on with you and say Connor McDavid isn't the best player on the planet without riding with Mr. McDavid and these Oilers. Just the Oilers, though. Oilers on the puck line. My lock of the night, and let me explain why. The Ottawa Senators have not looked great over their last couple of games. Actually, their last 4. And they squeaked one out against Seattle in between there, but they've struggled to score 5-on-5. The Edmonton Oilers got embarrassed by the Toronto Maple Leafs over the weekend, and I think they respond in a very, very big way. And I'll leave it with this. Edmonton has points in 9 out of 10 games against Ottawa, including 8 wins out of those 10 games. They've played very well against the Senators, and I'm just feeling it. I think you were mentioning the Oilers should respond as well, so I don't know what you think about it, but give me the Oilers on the puck line for a good bet. I think it's plus 115 right now. That's my lock of the night, Steele.
Look, I like that pick as well, and it should be everybody's lock of the night just because these injuries.
You just jinxed me.
I did not jinx you. Look, these injuries are catching up to the Ottawa Senators.
Yes.
It's a big deal that the fact that both Anton Forsberg and Cam Talbot are injured right now. Obviously, they've had some good runs with the guys in the crease right now, and Sogard and Mendeleze, yes. So they've got some good runs out of them, but they're just not quite there yet. They need Cam Talbot. They need Anton Forsberg. And those injuries are finally catching up. Plus, like you mentioned, the 5-on-5 game for the Ottawa Senators has just not been there all season, it seems like, especially for a couple of those guys. But Oilers on the puck line and the Sidney Crosby anytime assist. I like both of those picks.
Yes.
I might even take the under 6.5 in that Vegas Philly game.
Hey.
This is what I'm talking about, Flip.
I'm selling you,
keep my head
baby.
on straight here. You keep my head on straight. You keep me focused. I love all 3 of your picks. I'm definitely adding them into the parlay. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen game to game, every moment, every performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On hosts can deliver. And thank you so much again for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there. And we shall see you back here again tomorrow.